Hey guys, welcome back to another YouTube video, and today I'm gonna talk about my opinion on Warhammer terrain and ideas and stuff. So basically, I used to have a not bad opinion, but I was like, Warhammer terrain is kind of boring and all that stuff. And now that I actually thought about it and I looked at the factors and I did more research after, talking with the community that responded to it, which thank you guys so much. I wanted to post my new ideas and why I changed my opinion, and I think the factors that we could, the factors that cause the terrain to seem mediocre, bad, or just terrible, and how I changed it to actually make the terrain good, because the rules for terrain are actually really good. So yeah, let's get into the YouTube video. Okay, so basically what happened was I posted YouTube videos like, hey, is Warhammer, terrain terrible? And I was just talking about like how terrain kind of feels like standardized and all that stuff. I wasn't saying it was terrible, but I'm saying like, hey, it kind of feels like basic and stuff. And then this guy commentating is like, hey, there's actually this much different types of rules on Warhammer terrain. And he says L-shaped is just prevalent because it's, the easiest, because everybody knows the rules to it, So I'm trying not to say, too much. So I actually did some research and I, got my mom. I'm like, hey, let's play a game. I'm going to put in some different types of terrain and, just work with me here. And by different types, I mean, I just tried to incorporate more of the bunker that you get in the base set. So this was the, the board. So we split it down the middle. I got the bunker and she got the little huge like Jenga block little formation thingies. So I was playing Space Marines. That's why I wanted a bunker. And she was playing Tyranids, so she didn't really care about it. And we tried to actually incorporate the terrain into our gameplay. So I was like working around. So I was like, okay, Infernus Marines, I'm gonna put them inside of that bunker because I know that they're gonna, I know that they're just good. And Tyranid, she was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna swarm you. And it was fun playing around the terrain because I knew that my mom, like, I had a sort of choke point because she didn't want to run over that little fence in the middle because she would have landed like dead in front of both of my units and my Terminators would have like destroyed her. So the mission that we're playing was Scorched Earth, so you can either capture and burn an objective or you can just keep it. And I think that this played well with the terrain because what I wanted to do, because I had the bunker, I wanted to capture the objectives and quickly pull my units back into the bunker and then shoot out of the bunker to eliminate any remaining Tyranids. So what I did is I put my weaker units in the bunker like I said before, and this was really immersive because you know how like in the war movies where they like run up to the wall and then they like scale the wall, like they run up to the wall and then like charge into the building and stuff? Yeah, that's what I kind of did because I had them like kind of group around the building when I knew that they could have easily cleared into the building. And yeah, and then I just had them go in the bunker. And I like the poses for the Infernus Marines. I think that they really complement, I think that they complement the bunker because it's like a lot of model poses they aren't really even holding their gun up. So I just wanted to put that in as a side note. And I like how I like could put the Infernus Marines and they were all like manning a window. I think that it's very like immersed me a lot, to be honest. And that was amazing. It was so immersing. And I'd never, even used this bunker before. And I was like, yo, why hadn't I used this before? And I used the rules for industrial terrain. We're using outdated rules, but we were like, hey, because we're outdated, at least let's keep the outdated rules inside the same time frame. And I think that it really helped with gameplay because I feel like with walls, it's like, hey, you can either shoot them or you can't shoot them. And with bunkers, it's like, yeah, you can't shoot out of a bunker, but they can also shoot into a bunker. But bunkers do add like different positioning. So if I'm hiding behind the bunker, it's like, yeah, you can't shoot me. I'm pretty sure. I don't know the full rules, but I'm pretty sure. But like if I'm hiding in the bunker, you can shoot at me. It's just, industrial terrain at +2 to the saves, I think. But I'm not sure. And I really like the immersion because I also like, in like battle things like Star Wars where like all the clone troopers are in like little clone troopers where they're in like the little I forgot what they're called, little like divots and stuff. And I think that is very immersing. Yeah, I'm saying that right for that too. I feel like a big reason, so the first factor I feel like why a lot of these terrains, even though they have rules why they're not used, is number one is like if you're not good at making the terrain itself, It's a lot easier to find something that looks like an L. And another thing is that not a lot of these shops don't have, or like they just, a lot of these shops just don't have terrain like this, or they don't have boards big enough. Because listen, I was playing on a really big board, not really big, but like a sizably bigger than like what they do for Combat Patrol board, and I felt like it fit snugly, even though it was like a little bit bigger. And a lot of these, well, not I'm not gonna say all of them, but like a lot of the shops, they only really take L terrain and stuff like that, just because it's the easiest like to fit, and you can use it for like so much applications and different stuff. So it's like, why have these different type of stuff? I'm not saying that they don't, but I'm saying that the fact is it's just, I don't know, they just don't have them. Also, I feel like a lot of the terrains, like bunkers and other stuff, kind of feel kind of huge when they're playing on a smaller board. And when you have a smaller time frame, because I feel like a lot of people go to Warhammer shops and they're like, yeah, I'm going to get a 2-hour game in with my 1,000-point army. I'm not saying that like everybody does it. But I feel like by the time you get to playing, you know, you don't have enough time to play. So you just want easy rules for the terrain. Like, hey, you could see me or not. And that's a big factor and affects everything when playing, you know. Another thing I think would be helpful is just putting terrain to like the theme of the board. So like, for example, this one, I can already see Tyranids attacking from the bottom and having like guards defending from the top. That can also help, even though it might not be balanced, let's say, you know, if it was like a 1,000-point game. So you kind of have to do like balance it around the terrain if you're using different types of terrains. But it's very immersing. It's very immersing. I think terrain is really good. And I'm really thankful for this guy for commenting, because, you know, I had a lot of fun playing this game with my mom and everything. And I think that you should try and incorporate different types of terrain. And it's just cool. Like, hey, I'm having all my shooty guys in this bunker and we're shooting out. There's 1,000 Tyranids around us, but we got each other in this bunker. And I think a cool factor is like, what if we could do in Warhammer, like destroyable terrain? Like, let's say we have like specific units that could destroy that terrain, and instead of like shooting at the units specifically themselves in the bunker, we had like a unit go up top and like destroy the roof or something. Wouldn't that be cool? And another idea that I have for terrain, and like not terrain but also like immersing, is like, let's say, you know, we use Imperial citizens as terrain, or like objectives and stuff. Like, let's say a lot of Warhammer games, they have like still objectives, and I know that they have some ones where it's like, yeah, you can burn the objectives, or oh, this objective will appear on turn, blah blah blah. But it's not really immersion, because like you can guess, you know, what will happen, and the objectives are set. They're just one spot. The thing is, with citizens and like Imperial citizens, they're not just gonna sit there and wait to get shot, you know. So like, let's say the citizens are the objectives, like Space Wolves, evacuate them from Necrons. You can do like, they are running as like they see the Necrons, you know. So like, as the Necrons move, they like the citizens will notice them and like gradually evacuate, and the Space Wolves, they want to like direct the citizens out. So, and I think that it's also like, it adds to a fact that you can't really guess it, because the Space Wolves player would be directing the citizens, and you can either do it like escort, like let's say they have to take their models and like, you know, escort them back to their like corner side, or you can do like the Space Wolves player just like, you know, moves the citizen models themselves. So it's like, let's say it's a long like shooting way, right? And the Necron models are about to shoot these citizens that are evacuating. You can just be like, hey, I want these guys to move into cover like the citizens, and that could also be like a terrain thing. Honestly, it just sounds like I'm blabbering, but I've just been thinking about this because I saw this video about this guy, and he made like Warhammer citizens, and it's like, man, that's actually really interesting. How could we use that in an actual like Warhammer 40k tabletop game? And it's like, yeah, we can use them as like cover. And let's say you're a Necrons player, you could like, I don't know, hide behind citizens, so that it would be like a dilemma. It's like, hey, I mean, it wouldn't be a dilemma because in Warhammer there's no like, because citizens aren't really like a thing in the game, it's like, hey, if I see you and I have a straight line of cover, I'm gonna shoot you. But you'd have to factor in a way that it's like, hey, I can't shoot you because they're citizens and I wouldn't want to, you know, just hurt them. And yeah, those are just my ideas, guys. Like, subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching this to the end, and thank you for everything. I'm trying to get to 200 subscribers before the summer. And honestly, I'm just trying to get sponsored by Warhammer so I can so that they can send me Warhammer armies, because I really want a bigger Blood Angels army. And other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Like, subscribe, and see you guys.